welcome in umbraCoffee episode 271. Callum is enjoying himself in Microsoft MVP Summit somewhere in the United States. And I'm joined today by two amazing guys from Perplex, Daniel and Guus. Hello guys, how are you doing?
Hey,
Hello.
thanks for
Great.
having us. No, we're
Thanks.
doing great. At least I'm doing great. Guus probably as well.
Me too. Yeah, definitely. Thanks
How
for
are you
having us.
doing?
Yeah, and we were. I'm good, and this week just passed by. To be fair, and then one of these weeks where it was really a lot of things to do, but a lot of good things to do, and yeah, it's spring here. I don't know how's about weather in your end, but finally we don't need to wear any jackets and things like that. So it makes me and my logistics of my work and life easier. So that's good. That's always good.
Here is spring is on and off all the time. So every I think we had like 3 times where we thought that spring was beginning, but now like a week later the weather changes already. So
I changed my tires yesterday in my car, so please make it final. But yeah, I spoke with the friends from Norway recently that their weather is changing so rapidly on their side. So it might be not the end of the cold period of time yet. But Daniel was here in umbraCoffee, but you, Guus, it's your first time in umbraCoffee. Introduce yourself. What's your role? What are you doing? And yeah.
So I'm Guus. I'm a front-end developer at Perplex Digital. For like 2 years now. Sometimes do some front-end development also for your marketing suite, but that's not a lot. But mostly make Umbraco websites and do the front end. Yeah, kind of not that Umbraco related in setting up Umbraco, and not really a .NET developer, but mostly front-end developer. So like HTML, CSS, JavaScript. But yeah, I really enjoy Umbraco as a CMS, and so yeah, that's.
Yeah, nice to meet you. And we will be talking about your participation in some of the events. Daniel, how are you doing, by the way? It was a while, right, since you were joining us
Yeah,
here.
I'm doing very well. It's been so long. Yeah, that I can't even remember when I last see you. And I've been indeed on the show before, and that was in Corona, I believe.
Yeah.
I remember my hair was very long. Didn't go to the barber, all closed that time. So
Yeah.
quite a while ago, yeah. But I'm doing great, and you too, I hope.
That's good. Yeah, that's everything is fine, and I think that's a really interesting time of the year because of course pre-events and all the other things. But I have we will be discussing events, and I have a plan for today's episode, as I mentioned to you guys before we went live. That let's discuss events first, and then focus on your work and on some of the other releases and some blog posts. But I have one question before we'll go to this discussion. Are you both already prompt engineers, or you are still developers? That's the
I hope still developers, but
I
you
mean,
can discuss what it's hard to tell the difference.
I must say that I heard a lot about this kind of new roles of prompt
Yeah.
engineers, and now there are some companies even here in Poland recently put job adverts for prompt engineer roles in their organizations. So it's interesting times we are living in, and of course we will be touching this during the episode today, and we will utilize some of this AI-driven craziness and madness. But yeah, that's interesting. Is it the same in your country? Is this madness that visible?
I haven't personally seen like real madness, but I can totally see that we in the future as developers have to update our resume to include prompt engineer or something like that. Yeah, some buzzwords.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
And
Cool. So let's
you can't surf the internet anymore without seeing the word AI or ChatGPT. So it's hard to
true.
ignore it, and sometimes ignorance is bliss. So sometimes I have like a date where I don't click on the ChatGPT or AI videos, but then the next day I will be in the rabbit hole again. So that's a little bit
True.
how it goes since like the start of ChatGPT for me.
Well, sure. I'm curious if ChatGPT and AI will also be involved in some of the events that we are having ahead of us. And we can start from discussing the one that we can focus more about. And of course, it's called Garden. And one thing to be mentioned today, very important, is that the early bird ticket prices are ending. So this is the last day to buy it with the discounted price. And as someone said on Twitter, there won't be any date extensions this time because the previous date was extended. So now it's definitely the last chance to buy it with the discounted tickets. And yeah, that's our yearly Code Garden conference. And Guus, I know it's going to be your first Code Garden.
Yes.
How are you feeling about it? What are your
Yeah.
expectations for the event this year?
Yeah, quite excited. Expectations is more like to get the in-depth knowledge about Umbraco, see all kinds of different teams and the Umbraco team itself. See the community really, and where I've been using Umbraco for 2 years, and hearing from Jeffrey and Daniel and other colleagues that have been there, and quite excited, and I'm curious, but I don't really know what to expect, so we'll see.
Yeah, there was a really nice Twitter kind of threads exchange of information and pictures, because Code Garden itself asked about what it feels like Code Garden for you, and people were sharing their pictures. I don't know, Daniel and Guus, if you have seen it, but there was a lot of pictures from not a typical, I would say, stage discussions, some of the walks to the venue, some of the behind the scenes and stuff like that. So definitely there's a lot differences from the other conferences, and I hope that you will be able to experience it, and we are all looking forward to it. And Daniel, you're not going this year.
No, this year I will not be there. So, but I'm sure one of the future versions I will attend again. No worries.
For sure. So yeah, tickets still in the early bird pricing. So if anyone is watching and still was considering buying tickets, that's probably a wise decision to get it now instead of paying more for them tomorrow. Other event that I want to mention today is Umbrad, which is an Umbraco Accessibility Awareness Day activity and conference that we were discussing with Mike a while ago. The event was collecting speakers, and still the agenda is not being announced, but Umbraco Accessibility team and the organizers opened up the registration for the event. So the event happens on 18th May, which is the Accessibility Awareness Day. And we can secure the tickets, and the tickets are free, but the spots are required to be reserved. So the link will be in the description, and anyone who wants to be notified about the event, of course, be able to attend, will be notified about it. And it's online, which is what is worth to be mentioned. So probably I assume the links and everything, any other details, session breakdown, summaries, slides will land on our mailboxes if we will subscribe. And a couple other quick new events to be mentioned for the next week. Meetups, Umbraco Newcastle meetup with Rick and Bjarke, Friday, April 21st. Edinburgh meetup group with the April meetup, and Ravi, who will be a guest speaker online there, if I'm correct, on April 25th. And really interesting meetup that I've spotted recently is in Manchester, which is on Wednesday, April 26th. It's about structuring the content in Umbraco with a lot of potential for talks and discussions. So probably really interesting topic to explore. And last but not least to be mentioned is Umbraco 13 meetup in Aarhus, in Odense, sorry, Odense, not in Aarhus. On Thursday, April 27th. So there's a lot of meetups for the next weeks. So yeah, definitely check out if any of them.
Say there about the new back office or something. My Danish.
Yes. I'm not fluent in Danish, I must admit. But if I'm correct, there will be a walkthrough through the Umbraco 13, the new back office, extension APIs, and everything else what is in the newest version. So yeah, that's it. And as Owen said here in the chat, Ravi will be joining as a virtual speaker for the next week. So I was correct. Good, at least this time. And yeah, that's the meetups. And now, guys, let's talk about some releases. And one of the releases we mentioned, of course, and that's one of the reasons why you're also with me today, is your Perplex AI Assistant. So right now, without kind of me trying to explain what it does, what it is. Maybe tell us about it.
Sure. So I can even give a small demo if there's time for that.
Of course.
Yeah, so it's not our idea. It's Jeffrey, our boss. He always has the creative ideas. I suppose just like Guus, he saw a lot of videos about ChatGPT everywhere, and he thought, can we do something with that? Can we use ChatGPT somehow in Umbraco? And so he asked us, guys, can we make a package about this? Can we do something that's useful, and that people can just use and be enthusiastic about AI and Umbraco, of course. So we've created a package. It's still a very early version. Do want to say that it's a 0.x. So it's the Perplex AI Assistant. It integrates ChatGPT in Umbraco. So and I can demo it. I'm not sure if my screen is already visible.
Yeah, it's now visible.
So everyone will see here, this is the Umbraco Starter Kit. I just installed Umbraco 10, the Starter Kit, and our package. And I've added some products to the Starter Kit, one of them being umbraCoffee, because, of course, we're here now. So because by default, the Starter Kit doesn't really provide any good content on any pages. So I have to add some content. So this is a little page about the umbraCoffee, some very handsome guy here in the screen as well, and some description of, what it's about. Of course, the other handsome guy also, even if he's not here today. We miss him already. So this page, the idea of the package is it can help you to write a meta title and a meta description about this page. So if you want good SEO, you need to add a meta title and a meta description. Like, I'm not a SEO expert, but that's what people tell me. So, and normally you would have to, read the page. So this is how it looks in the front end. You would have to read it and then come up with a fancy title and a description. But now, if you install our package, we will look for properties called meta title or meta description, but these can be configured in the package. But we look at a specific alias, and if we find these properties, like in this case, we will show this little robot, which is our assistant, and he's asleep. But if you click on him, he will wake up and he will ask ChatGPT to write the meta title and description for us. So he will actually read the page. So all the content will be sent to ChatGPT. And then, he generates a nice title like, Weekly Umbraco Talk Show, umbraCoffee. And it's all, pretty reasonable, I think. And then if you're not happy with it, you can just press the button, it will do it again. But if you think, get the latest Umbraco news with umbraCoffee, that's a reasonable title. You click on it and it will just be filled into the property. And this is just the built-in Umbraco text string property, by the way. So it's not a custom property editor. That's maybe good to know. You can just keep using your existing editors, even if you have some other text string. It should work. If it doesn't, let us know. And the same principle applies to the description. So here it's a little bit more wordy than the title. And Umbraco MVP. So there we, of course, that's part of what I filled in the content, of course. But it just gives more or less a summary of the page. You no longer have to do it. You can click it. Of course, you can still edit it if you want to. And otherwise, you just publish the page and you're done. This is one part of the package. I hope I have a little bit more time. So I want to show a little bit more.
You can show it, but I have a question here. Of course. For more technical, deep into that, of course, you are using ChatGPT. You are doing the integration through the ChatGPT API.
Yes.
And is it available for free? Is there any cost associated to that? Because of course, at some point, ChatGPT also introduced some kind of more advanced payable options too, right? So, what
the API
integration at the moment?
No, that's a very good question. So it's not completely free, but it's very cheap. So the API, as far as I know, there is actually no free API. It's always paid.
Okay.
That's right.
Maybe,
yeah.
Okay, thanks. But it's very cheap. So it uses the concept of tokens. Like one token is like 3/4 of a word or something, and you pay per token. So if I recall correctly, the price is actually a fifth of a cent, so $0.002 for 1,000 tokens. Now we do send all the content of the page to ChatGPT, to the chat completion endpoint specifically, which is limited actually to 4,000 tokens or something. So what did I say? A fifth of a cent, but let's say it's roughly a cent, maybe if you click on the button, something like that, maybe even less, because we have tested this quite a lot, of course, over the recent weeks, and we got a bill. I think this is. I can share this number. We got a bill from OpenAI for that period. Was $1.5 or something like that. So it's
and I pressed the button a lot.
so
but that comes with another question, because I noticed that if you clicked the first Clippy AI assistant, and then you generated the text, the second one already had the text generated. Do you use it to have more efficient calls, and you call it once?
So very sharp that you observed, noticed that. It's true. So we do only one request, and in that one request, we ask it immediately to provide 3 titles and 3 descriptions. So that's why, indeed, otherwise we're just wasting maybe some bandwidth and some costs. So I would kind of open at the same time. But anyway,
I was already thinking about associating it with some other property editors, right? So how to make it more useful for custom properties that are different than meta titles and meta descriptions, right? So that would be probably some, and I believe, and we can discuss it as well, that there are some plans for maybe roadmap ahead. And as you said, it's an early version of the package. So, but that's really interesting to see, because I in cases like this where even API is cheap, I know the scale can make it even expensive if it will be used by millions of Umbraco developers now and editors.
No, for sure.
Cool.
But I do
you
want to
wanted
point
to
out
something else.
One more. It's the same feature, but just to be clear, like this is of course on the page level. So if you have hundreds of pages or whatever, it is maybe annoying, and you cannot even see, did I already process this page? Does it already have a meta title, meta description? So we have also added a quality section to Umbraco. So if you install the package, you get this section, which renders the same or the whole content tree. And here you can just see immediately, like, oh, hey, this one I just saved, right? So this one is already done. But if we want to add other meta titles, meta descriptions, you can just do it from this overview, very easily. Otherwise, it's the same, but you can just see, these ones still require a title and a description. And you can just press the button from here, basically, and then fill your whole site. So you don't have to jump from node
some
to
node. Some of the SEO prompt engineers can go here and just do the SEO magic around these pages and then
exactly. I think our marketing department was already very happy that it will save them hopefully a lot of time. Of course, they have some improvements, but you can still edit the response suggestion, and you can just save it immediately from here. So this is something we thought.
And this is, I believe, a lot of your front end work, Guus, here.
A little bit.
And into some content API calls to change these pages, because obviously we are not doing it from the content section, right? So that's really nice.
So that's basically our package. So it's, of course, it starts small, but I think you already mentioned that there were some plans tweeted by Jeffrey.
Let me maybe surprise you with some of these plans.
I haven't seen
as I mentioned, Jeffrey shared a tweet this week as well, that this is just an on the beginning, of course. And next steps are alternative text generation, accessibility advice, and more conversion-based text generation, and all on the roadmap for our Umbraco AI Assistant. So let me ask you guys, as a lead devs and team behind the AI Assistant, so how the roadmap looks from your side? Anything that you are already working on? Anything which you consider involving to the package soon?
I think the vision of the package from Jeffrey on, and that's why we started with metadata, titles, and descriptions, is also to get the annoying task or the task that require a lot of handwork, which really for the content editor are not the funnest parts, like meta title and meta description, but also alt text generation for images. most of the times these are forgotten, or these are like done at the end of a project or something. And we want to make it easier. So I really like the idea of having alt text generation, because we have a hard time with our customers that they always fill in the alt text. And we want to provide accessible websites, which are also good for SEO. So so I really like that one, that idea. Yeah, and I think that's why it also is called quality section for now. Is you want to have an overview of your content, and you want to increase the value of the content, and you can probably use some help with that, and the package will do that.
I think the potential is huge, and as I mentioned, madness. I think there's a lot of normal human, and not only developers and technical people, who are exploring the potential of AI now, thanks to the ChatGPT and the easiness of using it. So probably more to come from editors, from people who can now rely on AI. And I wanted to and I included this link just in the meantime. I wanted to share, of course, that the package is on the marketplace. Everyone can install it, everyone can play around with it and come up with the idea as well. Maybe help you shape this roadmap and do something more with it at some point. But yeah, that's also the set of information how to use it, right? So yeah, I think this is just the beginning, as Jeffrey said. So looking forward to more, guys. And yeah, if anyone else is watching us here, or who will be watching us from the recording, have some cool idea on how this assistant can evolve, or ask ChatGPT to let us know how it can evolve itself, then we can pass it over to you guys and yeah, help you shape it further. I think it's a great work, and as usual, I will say it from my perspective, but I'm sure that a lot of people from our community will admit that your packages are so much great looking and so well integrated into the Umbraco that, having this clippy, I wouldn't mind to have it, for various other things as well to help us with the things there. So kudos for the great work, and yeah, high five your work for shipping this at that time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun making it too. I do like to make, and I'm sure everyone at Perplex, just these small, indeed, hopefully polished, packages, even though they do at the moment not too much. But yeah, it's enjoyable for me as well as developer to do stuff like that.
So on the complexity scale, how complex was it to integrate with ChatGPT APIs at the moment?
No, not complicated at all. I'm also using a NuGet package that does the API like interaction, basically, that helps us. I could use, of course, C#'s HTTP client myself and parse the JSON, but there's already a NuGet package out there. I think it's just called OpenAI, that has some C# APIs for the endpoints. But even if you do that manually, that's of course not difficult. But I thought it has some nice error handling already built in. So there's OpenAI, and there's also the other package that helps us to guess, basically estimate the amount of tokens that are required. Because I mentioned earlier that there's a limit to the tokens you can actually send to ChatGPT. So if the page has a really large amount of text, and I would just send it without doing anything, OpenAI would respond with, hey, this is too long, please try again. But there appears to be a NuGet package that can already, before sending it to the API, can estimate the amount of tokens it will actually be. So if it's too big, I just already make it smaller before sending it. So that package is also a dependency. Yeah, and then the rest, we use Umbraco's APIs as well to fetch the content. So we use the preview API, meaning it also works on unpublished pages, by the way. So yeah, in total, I don't know, it wasn't that complicated, I would say.
Yeah, because that was a limitation, right, Daniel? So the OpenAI doesn't have access to the internet yet, maybe, but so you had the problem of like, we can't send the literal published page. So you use a preview and
definitely.
And strip the content and then send that.
Yeah, so but even if it could access the internet, of course, GPT-4 has, they announced the plugins, but that's all not available in the API. So the API also uses GPT 3.5, not 4 yet. Even if it could access the internet, it wouldn't work in my demo that was running on localhost, for example. So perhaps even if it can access the internet, sending the content might still be a good way. Only downside is it uses more tokens. So
That makes complete sense. Another limitation might be that finally this, people behind the scenes of OpenAI and stuff will really stop evolution of these engines. I don't know if you heard about it, guys, but generally there is a risk and danger. And I can't remember if it was a Musk or someone else who said that we need to stop it. We need to stop it because it's going too far. And if it will have access to internet, if it will be able to do things in the real time at some point, maybe real time. Of course, we know how real time works. But it might be both nice and scary at the same time, even more scary than it is at the moment, right? Interesting. Yeah. And just to also segue to another releases and discussions, you are not the only ones who, of course, played around with OpenAI, ChatGPT, and it's a huge buzz. And if I remember correctly, also Jeffrey asked about it on some MVP Slack channels a while ago, if someone is working on things like that, and there were a discussion about what can it do, etc. And I found a tweet from Simon this week as well. Who started some side play with also ChatGPT API, and he did a simple property editor that takes the prompt. And I don't know if you can. I probably destroyed the stream at the moment. But it takes the prompt and calls the ChatGPT API and gets the output. So it's not doing it for a specific purpose, but it calls it's built-in prompt into the page. So let's say if we are talking about having an unlimited assistant for editors, it could be ask ChatGPT for anything about now. And this is where the prompt engineers comes in, right? So because they need to know for what to ask for, right? And that's another playground. But of course, Simon also here explored the API connection, how it can be integrated. So yeah, it also looks good and interesting. So we will see where it will go next. And to close the ChatGPT topic, also Dennis Adolfi from our community shared a blog post this week on how he explores unit testing with ChatGPT. And question to you guys: have you used it? And we talked before going live that you used Copilot, for example, recently. I know a lot of developers using both ChatGPT, Copilot, and things like that. But Dennis here explored how to use how to do unit testing with ChatGPT. Did you guys try anything like that already on your side?
Yeah. So from my side, it's mostly that a lot of things that I Googled always. I Google a lot less as a developer. I just have a ChatGPT open, and then it mostly helps with when I don't even know how to start, or I'm having syntax that I don't know, or most in that case. But I tried refactoring or just giving it an assignment and just get the whole answer. But I was more busy having the chat fencer than just programming. But
I think it's really good though. It's really good at everything I would, just like Guus says, things I would normally Google and end up on Stack Overflow, which is a great website, but it seems like ChatGPT just knows everything. And the main thing, I think, you can also ask it, like, oh, but you did this in a certain way, Mr. ChatGPT, but can you change it, to do it very specific for my use case? And it really seems to understand, even though I know OpenAI has said, it's not real intelligence, it's just completing words or something. But it's really like you're talking to, a super senior developer, and he knows everything, and he gives you the very specific answer that you need. It's if people haven't tried it, really do so. It's quite mind-blowing, honestly.
And you can also point when he does something wrong. You can tell him he did it wrong, and then he says, "Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. This was the wrong syntax, or this was." So that's like amazing. Like
It does seem very quickly to say that you are right. I believe actually you can just tell him lies and he will be like, oh, you're right. Yeah. 1 + 1 is 3. So like stuff like that.
Yeah, I was going to say that as every senior developer, it's sometimes talking the wrong things with
Yeah,
the confidence
yeah,
level at 100%.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's an exciting example here from Dennis was an exact walkthrough through. Okay, give me first of all some list of inputs and outputs for this potential method, right? And case study. Then generate the test, and then generate the test with some specific inputs and outputs. And I think this is the power of ChatGPT in combination with, in comparison with Stack Overflow or Google. It's like we can really teach it to analyze our specific use case and get from nowhere to somewhere. And still, I'm very resilient to the sentence that it will replace devs, because we need to think for this to make a sensible judgment of the output from there. But it helps a lot, and I forced myself recently to use it really more often. And I know that if you, for example, some of my friends used it for translating their books from, let's say, Polish to English. But if you will just say to them, to ChatGPT, please translate this text to English, it will do that, but it won't do it professionally. But if you will tell ChatGPT, I need a professional English translation of the text that I will paste next, it will do it in the professional way. And that's where I see a huge potential of learning how to use it more efficient.
yeah.
We are on
Being
the
able
beginning.
to give him the correct context is really important.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and give him a role. So
Yeah.
you are now a you are now a marketeer, or you are now a developer, or you are now a translator professional.
Yeah.
That
Exactly.
helps for my
Exactly. So yeah, that's another cool example, and thanks Dennis for sharing how we approach that. And there is one more from Paul Seal, not directly related with Umbraco, but of course Paul is from our community, and he was sharing it recently with us, all of us too. He built a Chrome extension that removes ads from YouTube videos, and in this case he didn't know how to do it, and ChatGPT seems to know. So he used the prompts here and gone from nowhere to a video without an ads, with a custom player and code that does it in Chrome browser, and built an extension for him already. So amazing, simple. I haven't built a Chrome extension yet too, so maybe I will go the same
So
path.
Google is not even reducing its revenue from Google searches, but also the ads won't show anymore because people can make their own extensions.
Maybe someone will build an extension to display ads for a good cause, right? You
Yeah.
never know. You never know. So that's to close the ChatGPT topic. Two more topics to discuss today. One is a Uskind release and new integration with an e-commerce platform called Snipcart. And I can say already now that the Uskind team will join me next week for umbraCoffee. So we'll be discussing more about this e-commerce integration. And we'll of course discuss the vendor acquisition by Umbraco too, and how it all goes with the Uskind package. And have you guys used Uskind or any other team builders like this before?
I have not actually.
No.
We usually, we like to make our stuff ourselves. I don't know.
Yeah.
This can probably save a lot of time. Like I really don't know, but I cannot really
Yeah.
say anything substantial about it. I haven't used
Yeah.
it.
Same here. I've seen some solution in Uskind, but I haven't built it from scratch myself too. But yeah, we'll see more about Uskind next week for sure. And last but not least, from Umbraco blog, a blog post about integrating Aprimo DAM, which is of course the system from the digital landscape and DXP expansion in Umbraco ecosystem. There is a package that comes with it on the marketplace, and Aprimo is a DAM system, digital asset management platform that right now has an integration with Umbraco that is possible to be established with a package without any custom code integration. So looks interesting. I haven't used Aprimo yet at all, but Umbraco used to choose the platforms that are in use pretty often with their ecosystem. So I hope it helps for a lot of people. And this integration is another one which is open source on the GitHub. so we can see and maybe replace some of the paths and integrate something else if we would need to. Really interesting and very detailed blog post on what it does, how it integrates with Umbraco, and yeah, I haven't read it fully yet, but we will of course link it in the video description so everyone can check it and see if it may be something what can be used in their solutions. So yeah, exciting one. And that's all for today's episode. Guys, is there anything else that you want to share or discuss or promote or mention today?
No, I think we did our promotion already, so please download our package.
And did you submit the package to the Package Awards?
I believe that was the plan. I assume. I didn't
I assume
personally
it
do
was,
that.
but yeah, I
It
think
should have
Jeffrey
been.
did it, but it should have been. Yeah.
Okay, so I was going to say that I will keep
But
fingers crossed for
that was also our deadline, right? So it was the Friday until the end of the Package Awards deadline.
Okay,
So
might be related then. Might be related.
Yeah, you better have submitted it. Otherwise, we worked so hard.
yeah,
for
yeah,
nothing.
Yeah, might be related.
Yeah.
Cool. So then I will keep fingers crossed for this package to participate well in the package competition. And yeah, it was good to see it in working. And thanks guys for joining me today and demoing. And yeah, I feel like it's just the beginning, as we've said, and looking forward for more interesting and exciting side projects and packages like this from your side, guys.
Mhm.
And yeah.
Thank
See
you.
you has in a while on Code Garden.
see you.
And I hope that I will see you, Daniel, as well soon, sooner or later, wherever.
Sure, of course.
And yeah, thanks for joining me again. Have a lovely rest of the day and the weekend ahead. And with all the other viewers, as usually, I forgot about my YouTube thing. So like, subscribe, share it. If you feel like Perplex AI Assistant, something what might be interesting for your editors, clients, or teams, test it and share this video with them. And make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel, because you will be then notified about the episodes even without me tweeting about it. So that's exciting. So yeah, thanks guys again. Have a lovely rest of the day, everyone, and see you next week.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye bye.